Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so hi, my name is Abbey Childress. I am Carly Childress's older sister. And today I'm here to give you guys a presentation. It's about something super, super important, and it's going to affect all your guys' lives, so I really hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to start off with a guessing game. Alright, we all like guessing games, right? Woo! Yeah, I like that. Alright, so I'm just going to show you guys some pictures of guys on the screen, and I want you guys to guess who they are. Alright, so this is our first guy. Michael Jackson. Oh, are you? Do you guys get Michael Jackson? Alright, so can anyone raise their hands and tell me, why is Michael Jackson famous? Alright, yes, you in the green shirt.
For singing.
For singing. You guys know the song that plays every Halloween? What is it?
Thriller.
It's Thriller. So he's super famous. One of the most well-known musicians of all time. You guys know what his nickname is? He's the king of
Rock.
King of pop. King of rock would be Elvis. That's Elvis. Alright, so who's this guy?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Alright, now can someone else raise their hand and tell me why is Steve Jobs famous? Alright, yes, you in the black jacket.
For making the apple.
Right, he was the CEO of the Apple products. So the iPod, the iPad, iPhone, iMacs, it all comes from him. Does anyone know who this is? Alright, now this one might be a little harder. Can anyone explain to me why Albert Einstein is famous? Alright, yes, you in the glasses.
He was one of the most he was one of the smartest people on earth with, I believe, a 160 IQ.
Nice. Alright, why is he famous? Why else?
Because he discovered the theory of relativity.
Nice, yeah, that's what he's known for. He's known as being one of the greatest chemists in physics of all time. And Abraham Lincoln. Alright, you in the red shirt. Why is Abraham Lincoln famous?
Because he's the one who he's the one who stopped slaves and let everybody have freedom.
Yep, he was our president during the Civil War, and he wrote something called the Emancipation Proclamation, which made slavery illegal in the United States. Alright, so we have these four guys. We have Michael Jackson, who's a pop singer. We have Steve Jobs, who is the CEO and the creator of Apple products. We have Albert Einstein, who is one of the world's most famous scientists. We have Abraham Lincoln, who is our 16th president. What do you guys think these guys might all have in common? You in the navy jacket?
They might all have autism.
You guys know what it's about. Alright, they all have characteristics of a disorder called autism. Now, none of these guys were actually officially diagnosed because they lived in a time period where autism wasn't really known about, but they have many, many traits that would, be in correspondence with autism. So what exactly is autism? I know autism kind of sounds like this, big, confusing disorder, and honestly it is complex and sometimes hard to understand, but I have autism myself. I live with it personally, so I'm here to explain kind of what it's like having autism and how you can help other kids at your school who also have autism. So there's something called the autism spectrum. You hear this a lot, but some people just really have a hard time grasping what it means. It basically means that every single person who has autism experiences it differently. There's people who are constantly dependent on others. They need help with everything in their lives, with eating, walking, talking. They have very severe autism, while there's people like me who, I'm very independent. I do a lot of things by myself, but sometimes I need extra help with things. So it's unique for every single person who's diagnosed with autism. Now, I'm just kind of going to relate it to your guys' lives. Sometimes after a long school day, y'all want to relax, right?
Yes.
And we all have different things that we like to do, that we need to do to help us relax. So raise your hands if you guys really like to play sports to relax. Nice! We got a lot of athletes in the room. All right, hands down. Who likes to watch movies and watch TV to relax? That's your favorite. Oh, okay, good. All right, how about reading? Reading, we got some readers in here. How about calling your friends on the phone, talking to your friends?
What?
I don't even
Nice.
I don't even have
All right, so we all like to do different things to help us relax, right? That we like to do. So it's kind of like the same thing with autism. Everyone who is on the autism spectrum has autism, but they just have different needs. All right, so exactly like what are those needs? What exactly do autistic people need help with? One of them is socialization. Socializing just doesn't really come super naturally. For people who have autism, it can be a struggle. Now, don't get me wrong, autistic people actually like to socialize. They want to have friends, but it can be hard sometimes. An autistic person might have a hard time making eye contact. They might have a hard time starting up a conversation with someone or knowing how to keep a conversation going. So I have a funny little video to show you guys. It's about this guy named Sheldon. And Sheldon has autism, and he really, really likes science. He's super into science. His whole entire life revolves around it. And he is really trying to make a friend. He really, really wants to make a new friend, but he has a hard time going up to people. So he decides to use science to try and make a new friend, and we're going to see just kind of how well that goes for Sheldon.
Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
It is the Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
Here, is the volume? Okay, we gotta get the volume going. Alright, so I take it some of you guys know Sheldon already.
Big Bang Theory.
I know Sheldon. I don't know the big. I've seen this episode.
My dad watches it.
Alright, are we ready to go?
I don't know, I feel like there's music going. Okay.
Alright.
There's no algorithm for making friends. Hear him out, it's just really.
Sorry.
He's new at the zoo.
It's a terrific book. I've distilled its essence into a simple flow chart that will guide me through the process.
Have you thought about putting him in a crate while you're out of the apartment?
Hello, Crispy. Yeah, Sheldon Cooper here. It occurred to me that you hadn't returned any of my calls because I hadn't offered any concrete suggestions for pursuing our friendship. Yet perhaps the two of us might share a meal together. I see. Well, then perhaps you'd have time for a hot beverage. Popular choices include tea, coffee, cocoa. I see. No, wait, don't hang up yet. But what about a recreational activity? I bet we share some common interests. Tell me an interest of yours. Reading? Actual horses? Tell me another interest of yours. I'm sorry, I have no desire to get water, so I absolutely have to. Another interest of yours.
He's stuck in an infinite loop. I can fix it.
It's interesting, but isn't ventriloquism by definition a solo activity? Yeah. Wait, tell me another interest of yours. Is there any chance you like monkeys? What is wrong with you? Everybody likes monkeys. Hang on, Kripke. A loop counter and an escape to the least objectionable activity. Howard, that's brilliant.
I'm surprised you saw that. Gee, why can't Sheldon make friends?
All right, Kripke, that last interest strikes me as the least objectionable, and I would like to propose that we do that together. Tomorrow. Yes, I'll pay. Goodbye. All right. Time to learn rock climbing.
Alright, so that's our little friend Sheldon. Alright, let's go back to... Alright. So I have some questions for you guys about the Sheldon video we just watched. Does Sheldon have a hard time making new friends?
Yes.
Right, he has a hard time. He's having to come up with all these new theories to...
Answering the question once and for all, why
Yeah.
it's figured out in medical school.
It's the Big Bang. You forgot to turn it off.
Yeah.
I think
Facebook
she's
status
never
update.
it off.
Leonard Hofstadter is in a relationship.
What? No, that's not right. Oh man, did you switch your status before she did?
It's in YouTube.
Speaking as an expert, wait till...
There we go. You guys see the? I don't see that.
Yeah, right there. They say something.
Is it? I don't know which one of those. Is it in Google Chrome or is it in
Oh, all right. It's right there.
right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. So, right, he has a hard time making new friends. You know, he's having to come up with scientific theories to try and make new friends, which is not really what most people do. But does Sheldon still want to make a new friend?
Yes.
Right, he wants to. You know, he's calling up this guy. He's trying to test and see if he will hang out with him. And kind of we talked about this earlier. Is this a normal way to make friends?
No.
No. Usually we do not have to use science to make friends. And how are some ways other people can help Sheldon make new friends? All right. You in the red shirt and glasses?
Maybe you can find people that actually like him.
Right. Maybe he can find other people who like science. All right. That's a good one. All right. You in the blue shirt and back?
Well, Sheldon's friends can ask, Sheldon's friend can ask other friends if they'd be interested in his friend.
That's a really good one. All right. Yes.
Find other people with autism and see if they'll want to be his friends.
So that's Sheldon having to go out and help himself, but how can his non-autistic friends help him? All right, you in the black jacket?
Like, there can be some other people that want to help be Sheldon's friends. They can go up to him and ask him, then him to be their friend, instead of him having to go and ask him to be their friend.
Right, so if they see him struggling, they can take the initiative and ask him and help him out. That's a really good one. All right, and you.
Like his one friend did in the video, he helped him out by like drawing the other thing too.
Right, so he gave him some new techniques. He taught him, okay, Sheldon, this would be a good idea. And he kind of showed him the process of how to help him. That's a really good one. All right, so sometimes people with autism can see the world in different ways, not usually ways that most people see the world. All right, so tell me what you guys see. All right.
I see a rock.
All right, I'm going to call on individual people. What do you see?
I see a duck first, but then I can see the rabbit.
What do you see? You see a bunny. What do you see? The gray shirt, what do you see? Yeah. You see a duck? All right, what do you see?
I see a duck.
You see a bunny. And the black and the blue sweater, what do you see?
I see a duck.
You see a duck. What do you see in the red hat?
I see a bunny and a duck.
All right, so we all see different things. So is it okay to see the duck?
Yes.
But is it also okay to see a bunny?
Yeah.
So is it okay that different people see different things?
Yeah.
Right, it's okay. It's just having to know that other people's brains don't work exactly the same. It is cool. We all don't just think the same. Everyone thinks a little bit differently, and autistic people, our brains are wired very differently from others. So sometimes we have a hard time understanding concepts that most people get, or understanding how to socialize, and just things that most people totally understand. Alright, so a picture of a car here. Now when, a lot of people look at a car, at first they see the car. They see the car in the whole, and then kind of afterwards they might notice, the tires, or, the headlights, this thingy, the mirrors. But a lot of people with autism, before seeing the whole entire car, they might know every single number and letter on the license plate before they know what the rest of the car looks like. Or they might know all the details inside the tire before they know what the rest of the car looks like. Autistic people tend to be very detail-oriented and will fixate on one specific thing instead of the whole picture. Alright, autistic people also have something that's called sensory integration disorder, and I know that sounds like really, really big and scary, like, but it's actually pretty easy to understand. Basically, those with autism either experience their senses at a very high level or at a very low level. So, for example, I have very sensitive hearing. I hear super, super loud, so whenever I go to pep rallies or anything like that, most kids have fun at that, but it really, really hurts my ears and it gives me a huge headache. Or there's a lot of autistic people that don't like being touched. It might hurt them to touch them, so I have a little kitty here, the black kitty, who's like someone who doesn't like being touched. If you can kind of see, he doesn't look super happy. The yellow kitty is the one. So, and then, but sometimes autistic people can be the total opposite. I'm the total opposite. I'm not sensitive to touch really at all, so like sometimes people will tap me on the shoulder and I have no clue that they just tapped me on the shoulder. So they have to like tap me on the shoulder. Or sometimes even with my hearing, sometimes I'll zone out and my brain will focus on just one particular thing. So if I'm really focused on something and someone's calling my name, they're going, Abby, Abby.
That is
I'm
me.
like, oh, yes, hello. And they'll be like, my mom knows it especially well. She'll be like, Abby, I've been yelling your name like 10 times. And I'll be like, really? You have? And she'll be like, yes, Abby, I have. And then, you know, like sometimes someone with autism, I don't really have this issue, I love food, but like sometimes they'll have an issue with particular textures with food, so they become extremely picky with what they eat. No, I was actually like that when I was younger, but not right now. But yeah, they'll become, because it's the textures, their body experiences things at such a heightened level that it really bothers them. Who here likes to wear jeans?
Oh, I love jeans.
Yeah, jeans. Would anyone like to guess when I started wearing jeans? Alright, you in the black shirt.
When you were 10.
Later. Alright. Probably you know this. Alright, you in the green shirt.
When you were 12.
I would say right about then, 12 or 13. I was in the 7th grade, because even though most people love the texture of jeans and they find it super comfortable, my body became extremely irritated when I put them on, and I would become super stressed out because my body couldn't handle it. And sometimes autistic people have things called sensory overloads, where they just have their senses coming so intensely at them that they just can't handle it anymore, and they might start to have a meltdown, and they might start to cry or try to isolate themselves away from other people, or they might seem like they're freaking out. So just understand that if you see an autistic person become very upset or, you know, wanting to be away from people, it's because their senses are so intense that they just need a break from it all. Structure. Autistic people tend to really like structure. They tend to really like sticking to schedules, having everything be in their own little place. So sometimes an autistic person can become very overwhelmed. Say if you guys have something like field day or a field trip where something is out of their normal schedule, it can really upset an autistic person because it's new to them and it kind of freaks them out a little bit. I have to say, like, I like my schedules. I really like my schedules. I mean, like, I do fine on, like, stuff like vacations. And, I mean, I'm not super strict to my schedule, but if I'm just, like, too out of it, I start to become very overwhelmed. Fixations. Autistic people tend to fixate on things very, very heavily. And I'm going to use our 4 guys earlier from this presentation to explain it. Steve Jobs loves technology. He really, really digs technology. And that's what he focused on. So sometimes he wouldn't socialize with other kids or get any of his other assignments done because all he wanted to do was study technology. But raise your hand if you use an Apple product almost every single day of your life. All right. So, was Steve's fixation good?
Yes.
Right. I mean, obviously it caused some trouble in his life. You know, his grades weren't super high. He didn't necessarily connect with other people all that great. But he used it to his advantage because he knew more about technology than anyone else did. And he created this product that changed the world. So I have some images up here on the screen. There's some inventions that everyone knows that were made by people who have autistic traits. Who knows the Muppets?
Oh,
I love the Muppets so much. They're my favorite. Jim Henson was the one who created the Muppets, and that's what he fixated on. He fixated on puppets. He was really into puppetry, and now everyone knows the Muppets. There was a guy named Henry Ford, and he really liked technology too. And he was really into cars and anything with auto tech. Now, raise your hand if you've ever been in a Ford car, your parents own a Ford car. A lot of people in this room. Alright, so now I have roller coasters and airplanes on here. And that was a little confusing, but there was a man, does anyone know the name Isaac Newton?
yes.
Isaac Newton was our world's greatest physicist. And he created these theories that people who made the airplane, the roller coaster, the car, they used to test safety and to make the cars work. If it weren't for any of Isaac Newton's theories, there would be no roller coasters, there would be no airplanes, there would be no cars. None of these things would exist. So it's because Isaac Newton fixated on physics. He knew more about physics than anyone else did. And what he did was pretty revolutionary because, I don't know about you guys, but I really like roller coasters.
Yes.
And I like going on cars. Alright, does anyone know the name Steven Spielberg? Alright, he was a very famous movie director. And he always said that he felt like an alien when he was a kid. That none of the other kids liked him. And that he felt like he was a freak. And he said when he was a child, all he spent his time doing was studying movies and studying directors. So he has directed films. Indiana Jones. Do we have any Indiana Jones fans in here?
Yeah.
How about E.T.? How about Jaws?
I'm not watching.
All right, now we have another actor. Does anyone know the name Jack Sparrow? Yep. So, can we all repeat the name of the guy who plays Jack Sparrow?
Johnny
Depp.
It said it right there.
Johnny Depp has said that he felt like he was a freak, that none of the other kids liked him, just kind of similar to Steven Spielberg, and that sometimes he would have these body movements that he was out of control of. Sometimes he would flap his arms up and down, sometimes his leg would twitch uncontrollably, and kids made fun of him at school because he did all these things, and that was actually because it was to release his senses. He was having sensory overload, so sometimes flapping his arms or jiggling his leg helped relax his body. So he said, he never understood why he was different or what made him different. He just knew that he was different. So look at all these things that everyone in the room knows, and it's all because an autistic person fixated on something. Like Johnny fixated on movies. He really wanted to be an actor. He dedicated his entire life just to acting, and acting only. Alright, so I'm about to finish up this presentation, but I just want to go over some very important things to know. Autism is not contagious. It is not a disease. It's not like the flu. You can't catch it. It's a disability that someone has. And it's just what makes us different. It's what makes this world interesting, is having people who are a little bit different. And autism is not always bad. Kind of like what I said earlier. We have roller coasters and planes cars and the iPhone and awesome movies because of autistic people fixating on things. Autistic people can feel emotions. Sometimes autistic people might have a hard time expressing how they feel, but that doesn't mean that they don't have emotions. It just means that they don't know how to tell someone how they feel. Or sometimes they might bottle it all up inside because they just don't have any means of expressing themselves. Autistic people like to have friends and they like to socialize. We went over this before. It's just harder for them. And if y'all see an autistic person, it's okay to go up to them and say hi. It's okay to introduce yourself. It's okay to invite them to sit with you at lunch and talk to them, because you might actually really like that person. You might be like, wow, they're a really good friend. And even though they might seem different to you, they might become one of the closest people in your life. Autistic people tend to be very smart. Sometimes autistic kids get called stupid or dumb because they might not understand something in class because their brain doesn't work the way other kids' brains work. But that doesn't mean that they are stupid. It just means that sometimes things have to be explained to them in a different way in order for them to understand. And like we have Albert Einstein, super, super smart guy, right? Was he stupid?
No.
No. Autistic people can have all sorts of different interests. So there's a lot of autistic people who do really well in the math and science communities, but that's not all, right? I mean, what was Jim Henson into? If anyone remembers. He's the puppet guy. He's really into puppets. Puppet guy. What's Johnny Depp really into? Acting. What's Steven Spielberg really into? Directing movies. What's another example? Oh, what's Michael Jackson really into? Singing. So there's a whole broad array of different interests that autistic people have. It's not just one sole thing. And you can't always visually see someone's disability. Now, there's disabilities that you look at someone and you can see it. Like, say, for example, someone in a wheelchair. Obviously, you can see their disability. But, I mean, I come in here into the classroom. You guys can't see that I'm disabled. You can't tell just by looking at me. So that's why we have to be kind and accepting to everyone. That's why we can't be poking fun at others and laughing at others, because you don't know if someone is different because they're disabled. Regardless, you shouldn't be making fun of people at all. We need to learn how to be kinder to each other, be nicer to each other, be more warm and welcoming towards one another. That's a very, very important thing, because everyone is important. Everyone has influence in this world, and just because you might be different or feel like you're a freak or whatever and people are mean to you doesn't mean that you're not important, because most of these people I've talked about were bullied in school. They weren't treated well, but look at what they did. Look how important they are. And the more you know, the more you can help. The better that you understand autism and other disabilities, the more you can help them out, the better understanding and compassion you can have towards someone. All right, so does anyone have any additional questions about autism? All right, yes.
Is autism similar to dyslexia?
In some aspects, so not necessarily, but sometimes when I'm reading something, it's called I guess a visual disability or a spatial disability. Sometimes if I'm reading something, the lines will flip-flop and cross over. But other than, which is something that happens to dyslexic people, but other than that, there's not really a tie between dyslexia and autism. I mean, you can be autistic and have dyslexia, but other than that, no, there's not really a strong tie between the two. All right, yes, in the blue sweater.
What's up with the puzzles?
Oh, the puzzles, yes. The puzzle is the national symbol for autism. April is Autism Awareness Month, so you'll see a lot of puzzles. Like, did you guys notice in April you saw a lot of puzzle pieces?
Yeah, I did.
Right. So that's why, is because it's an organization called Autism Speaks,